Right, I changed the latency setting. I don't know if that's going to magically fix it, but let me know if it's any better. Probably not going to mess with it any more than that. Okay, so here it is before I ruined everything. We already watched that being fixed, so we'll move on to something else. Let's see. So my Tekin motors here, these are the HD versions. They go into what are they called, Bainbots gearboxes, and then the wheel, and then they're chain driven to the front. I was tempted to go with a two-wheel design to save weight, but you can see it's big still. It's I'd have to make it like a UK pyramid shaped flipper, which I'm not a big fan of aesthetically, and that's enough of a reason for me to just keep the four wheels. So keep going with that. It does seem to say that the stream health is green now, so maybe that latency change fixed everything. Let's see what else we can do or talk about. So the wedges in the front, these are titanium. They're like 1/4 of an inch, I think. Let me check that. Yeah, 1/4 inch titanium. I would love for somebody to tell me that's overkill and I could go thinner and then shave some pounds, but or ounces at this point. But so that's what we're dealing with there. Just want them to survive beam and crippling depression hits, at least, you know, one fight. I also have the tabs going on here, so if I turn that off, this is what the aluminum rails look like, and if I just, you know, plop the wedge there, I can take my drill and drill into here using the wedge as a guide to drill the tap hole, and then tap it, and then do that for a million holes, and it's going to take forever, but it's, you know, the somewhat cheap way of doing replaceable parts. Steel is real. Hi, Steel is real. Hope your day is going well. Lots to do. So the RAM in here, I can get this arm up. So this RAM is something I'm designing. It's all custom. I have a guy who he's the same guy who built Chad's RAM, and he's done a few robots on the old Robot Wars series. He's kind of been my mentor through this whole thing. I sent him a draft of the RAM so far. He gave me a list of things I need to change so that I don't, you know, make a bomb or anything dangerous like that. So really appreciate his help thus far. But once that's in there, I'll have to get it water jet tested, and then hopefully we'll have a pretty crazy flipper here, because this is the same bore as what Rocket uses. So same bore as Rocket, more pressure than Rocket, but in a 30-pounder. So this thing should be pretty crazy if I can get it all to work. Looks like the stream went back to orange. Looks like the quality might have not done any better. But oh well. It's definitely on the list of things to fix for next time. So I'm going to give you guys a good quality experience here. Oh, one thing I could do to shave some weight is put holes in the base plate, because I haven't done any of that really, except where I had to for screw mounts and stuff like that. Alright, I want to fix this because it's bugging me a lot. So we'll go to the base plate. And that's one of these sketches. I probably got lazy for that and did it in the whole root section instead. roll history marker. Okay, so this is what's off. Received confirmation that the quality is the same. Okay, so that's something I'm not sure how to fix. I guess as long as you can hear me, it's okay. Let's hide the chassis and hide the weapon so we can look at this better. So in order to get this all to fit, I need this weird angle here, so that's why the valve is tilted. It actually looks like that might be... Does that line up? That doesn't line up. I don't know if that's why the hole ended up coming out weird, is because I made the hole and then I rotated the part, and then it would have a different projection. So oh, actually no, I think it's just because that hole, this square should line up with the pink one, the projection. So this and this and this. Okay. Okay, so now that hole's pretty. I'll probably have to grind it a little bit to make it not fit so snugly, but okay. So that's good. Fittings everywhere at this point in time. So let's fast forward back to the current point in time. Put all these back. Oh, extras. So this is, I used a ground object to line up things like the wedges and the attachments and stuff like that with the wheels. Oh, and this is crippling depression, just for size comparison. So if I turn all these back on, you can see crippling depression is definitely much more smaller and compact, but that's just the way pneumatic robots are. They're always fat because of air tanks and stuff like that. But it's not too much huger. It looks like they're the same width. But every other dimension, my robot's going to be fatter. Okay. I also have these holes in the top plates here. So this is to read the high pressure gauge. So that'll go from 0 to 4,500 psi on the main tank. Then we have the low pressure gauge that goes 0 to 900. And then all these valves for safety, turning things off, and bleed valves and stuff like that. I want to make some kind of tool that, like, I think the Lucky team uses this. Andrew, if you're still watching, you could probably confirm this, but I want it to be like, I want a shape like this on a rod, and then I can just put that in. It'll grab the knob, and then I can turn it like that to turn these valves. That'd be cool, just to have a tool to stick in there, and then I can make the hole smaller because I wouldn't have to worry about getting my giant hand in there and just use the tool. I also need to put some top plates on top of these to protect them, because I'd like something that opens, so, you know, again, Megatron, so Megatron doesn't wreck it in one hit, maybe 2 hits. Let's see. Quality has not changed. I'm guessing crippling depression is your main enemy. Right now, I'm my main enemy, just trying to get it done in time. I know Big Blue Saw is having a sale on water jet stuff, so I'd like to get this design done by, you know, the end of December, so I can get my parts ordered. But horizontal spinners have always just been like the enemy for my flippers, especially for Highlander. I don't know. Beam, I guess Beam, Megatron, and Crippling Depression are the three bots I'm most terrified of. Not necessarily in any specific order, but yeah, definitely Crippling Depression is one I'm afraid of. Um, definitely had Crippling Depression in mind um, designing a lot of this. I also think that my wheels are too far inside for him to hit me with the blade, because it only pokes out a tiny little bit, and I think if the two chassis hit like that, I don't think his tooth can reach the wheel. So that'd be fantastic. If it's tall enough to hit the chassis, it'll wreck it a lot, but that'd be kind of funny if it just was stuck under here and he couldn't do anything, but I doubt that's the case. Let's see, I think Lucky was like 50% bigger in footprint and taller than small spinners like Minotaur. Yeah, that sounds about right. We used 1/4 inch turn ball valves so that when you take the handle off, it's like a double D shape. The finger tool is literally a bolt with a slot grounded onto it. Oh, okay, that works. I actually have these valves right here in front of me. It does have this nut or this screw I can take out, and then I can see what the inside looks like. But yeah, these are just these same thing, just ball valves. You know, watch it close and open. I actually have a lot of things here. Here's the valve. So this thing's pretty big. This is the giant solenoid that powers it. Got a million paintball tanks. I guess if this robot fails, I could take up paintballing as a hobby and be pretty well invested in it. So let's add those lids. So we will. What are all these? Oh, those are the screws. So wedges, wedge screws, and we're going to take all of those and put them in here. I like to have a clean sidebar. So let's make a new component, and we'll call it I'll call it low pressure. Well, let's make a lids folder, and then inside of here we'll make a new component and call it low pressure lid, just because it's the lid that covers all the low pressure stuff, and that's how you name things. Yeah, take the handle off, see what it is. I want to see someone use these as fasteners in a bot. They're too big for a 30, I'm sure. I don't know what those are. These. They look cool. I don't know if these are right. Alright, anyway, so basically I just want this shape but bigger, so I'm going to use the outline tool on this peanut shaped thing, and I don't know what the ideal overlap would be. Maybe 1/8 of an inch. Like that. And then I guess the pivot can go over here. Let me add another circle. And this can be like 1/2 inch or something like that. And just to lock it in place, we'll have it line up with the bleed valve there. Okay, so then all this will be our little lid, and this will also be the same thickness as the, or not wall thickness, as the other top plates. So then with that thing on top, Megatron won't, you know, penetrate and wreck us as easily. Quarter turn quick release fasteners used in race cars to remove body panels. Oh, okay. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, so this we need to add a hole to. And of course, it's not going to give me that center of the circle as an option, so we need to go back into the sketch. Even though there's a point there, we'll just add it here. I don't know how big in diameter we want to make this. Make it an 1/8 inch for now. Okay, so now when we extrude this, we'll not do this part. Oh. Or that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. We'll add a material to it. This will also be the same titanium. Could go with like Lexan or something so it's see-through, but then that kind of defeats the purpose of it being a lid. If I keep it as titanium, it can actually kind of be the same top armor. I'll go with that. So let's find titanium, drag it in there, and then we'll make it green to match everything else. Okay. You know, it has a little peanut tumor on it, but from far away it'll look cool. And then we're going to want the hole to also go through the panel. Let's see if I can just do that from here. Oh, I bet it's because I had the sketch off. That's why I wasn't doing it earlier. Yeah, because now I can do it. Okay, so this will be just a flat hole. 1/8 inch in diameter. I'm going to change my mind on this value and then have to edit a million things, but that is that. Let me have this go to the edge of the bottom like that instead of using a hard-coded value. There we go. So now I have that little lid. Let's add a joint to it. So this will be, can I get in there? Inside the top plate. So this part of the hole is the first thing. And then that spot on the top plate. Now create a joint, but we want it to revolute, and then it'll spin like that. So now if we take a look at this, if we want to open this up, oh, that needs to be a joint. Let me attach that real quick. Why is it not moving? Revolute right there. There it is. Oh, I bet it's because I'm grabbing the sketch and not the actual component. Nope. Okay, well. No limits. I don't know why it's acting like that. But you can see we can, you know, I can open it up like this, stick the tool in there to turn everything on, and then slide this closed like that, and then just the friction is kind of all we can rely on. I could add like a latch or something, but that's just weight I don't have. So that's one. And then I'll do something similar for those two. What are we doing over here? So yeah, that's where we're looking now. We have 8 people watching. If you guys have any questions, I can answer them for you. It can be about anything, really. Doesn't have to be CAD related or even robot related, whatever pressing issue you want to ask me. Computer specs. Okay, this thing's kind of old. It's like 4 or 5 years since I first built it. We're looking at 16 gigabytes of RAM right now. Let's say close to 4 megahertz on the CPU side. Could be wrong about that. Oh, it's just been so long, I forgot everything I have in here. Can go like this. There we go. 3.4 gigahertz. I don't know why I'm thinking megahertz for the CPU. That is Lotus. The GPU I have, I don't remember the name of. It's an NVIDIA something. It might give me the specs here. But it still games decently for being so old. It was pretty high end at the time. It cost like $1,200, $1,100 or something like that to build. So it's definitely been a good investment for the amount of time it's lasted. Might have to make a new one soon because it's fun to do. Yeah, I don't want to bother with that. Okay. So yeah, I also run 2 monitors. Everything you're seeing is on my left monitor. Then I have all the streaming stuff in the other monitor, which is why you keep seeing me look to the right. So I have the chat and the stream settings and stuff like that. So thanks for the question, Andrew. Let's get rid of these guys. And that's another thing I haven't accounted weight for is these lids. Let's see how much these weigh. So go into properties. Once you have a material assigned, it'll tell you what the mass is. So it's only an ounce, so that's not too bad. If you click on it, it does absolutely nothing, but it's copied to your clipboard. They just do nothing to tell you that. So then we can go to that spreadsheet I had open. And I guess this counts as chassis. We have the low press lid here. And then this little part, you just paste in what the ounces are, and it'll give you a value in pounds. So that's just a little thing I added here to make things more convenient. So there we go. Now we're even closer to being overweight. Let's see. Windows X Device Manager display. Oh, thank you, Jonathan. Let's give that a try. Windows X Device Manager. Oh, we're just in the drivers for everything. Okay. And then I do have an integrated Intel, GPU. It's an integrated GPU that doesn't count. So that's a GTX 770 that I have in here. Let's see. Undeniably Useless says, are you scared that the flipper is going to break if hit by a horizontal? Yes. Very. But to help prevent that, when I fight against a horizontal spinner, this little attachment won't be here. I'll have a different configuration. So this is the anti-vertical configuration. If I turn that off, all of this should be in there too. And that is part. Get in there. I'm just going to have a plate. Another, it'll probably just be more AR400. That's what the rest of the arm is made out of, AR400 steel. that'll just be kind of recessed behind the main wedges, and just hope that, you know, these two wedges are what's taking the blunt of the impacts. So nothing is really going to stick out for horizontals to grab to. It'll just be all one smooth wedge up here in the front. And then since they're a horizontal spinner, that means they probably don't have a wedge on them, which means I'm not going to have any problems getting underneath them. So that's why I can just use these, you know, big flat wedges to kind of scoop them up and then flip them. So that's the plan with that, at least. But I'm definitely terrified of fighting a horizontal spinner. Tyler says, "What's up, geek JK?" Classic Tyler, whoever you are. But I'm doing well. How are you doing? I like your Shrek profile. Which reminds me, after this stream, not now, but after, you need to go on YouTube. You need to look up Shrek Retold, and this is an entire remake of the Shrek movie, where they got like 200 people to each animate one little clip, and then they put it all together. So it's all these different styles, but it's the entire Shrek movie, and it's a masterpiece. I encourage all Shrek fans to watch that. Anyway. Beam versus this will be horrifying. Yeah. Yep. Definitely scared of Beam. So these, all the, let me hide the top plates. All of the rails here in the back, they're all 3/8 inch 6061 aluminum. So I'm hoping that'll be beam proof, but I'm probably just going to be playing my best game of try not to get hit. Try to go around, hit them from the back, but that works with verticals, but horizontal spinners are really easy to turn around, and they slap you in the side, and then you're broken, and it's sad. Also, where does the flamethrower go? I would love to add a flamethrower, but I'm so overweight. I can't even use fire at Motorama anyway. For ABC, it'd be cool to have a flamethrower in here, or bust out Doomforge to be mini bot. Something I want to try is actually see how high this could launch a Beetle. I might sacrifice my Beetle weight just for a funny video of launching a Beetle weight with a 30-pound, 900 psi, 5,300 pounds of death flipper. I think that's right. So to calculate the force of a piston, it's pressure times area, so 900 because it's 900 psi, and then the area of a circle is pi r squared, so pi times whatever the radius is, 2.75 inches is my bore, and then another one of these for the r squared part. Yeah, so 5,345 pounds of force is what this ram is capable of. That all flashes in a fraction of a second, so this is definitely my most deadly and terrifying to work on robot. So there's some little fun fact numbers for you on Morag, which is the name of this thing, by the way. Oh, the name, for those of you who don't know, Morag is Scotland's second most popular lake monster. So, like, you know, the Loch Ness Monster is the most popular, obviously, and then Morag is another lake monster in a different lake. It's like Lake Mora or something like that. So that's where the name comes from. A little more trivia for you. So what else do we want to do? I kind of want to duplicate this pattern on the back and just hope I don't get hit. So let's go ahead and do that. Because if you look at like Charles Guan, his robots, like, he has no fear with putting holes all over his chassis. He did get decapitated by Beam, so it's not the best example, but you know, I'm willing to trust his judgment and do something similar. So here's our back wall, here's our sketch. So I'll just edit this to have pretty much the same thing but underneath. Let's see if I can just get away with copying all this. Copy paste, move it down. That works pretty well, but it's not going to latch onto anything. So let's add a rectangle. Not sure where I got that height from. Let's throw it somewhere. Okay. So we want the height of this equal to the height of this one up here. Should be a dimension somewhere in this giant pile of dimensions. And I'll just add one. Oh, it's an inch. Add that, and then we can just set this dimension equal to that dimension. There we go. And so how far from the ground do we want this to be? Could make it 3/8, just the same thickness as the wall. So that's that. And then this is all not attached. So I just need to go around with the coincident parameter on everything. Let's see. How many flips are you going to get? So did the math. I think I did the math wrong, but it was saying like 8 or 9 flips or something like that. I think at the worst it'll be 6 flips. So I guess between 6 and 9, which is not a lot. But what I want to do is adjust the timing on my valve, sacrifice power for more flips basically. So instead of opening the valve as long as it would to normally fill up the entire ram, just have it fill up a little bit, which is I think ideal anyway, because the actual flip part only happens during the first part of the actual flip. By then they're actually in the air and your arm isn't doing much. So hopefully with that I could get it to like 12 or 15 flips. That'd be pretty good. I plan to have a lot of different buttons on my transmitter, like a low power flip, a high power flip, and then like an unlimited power, like open the valve for as long as I'm holding down the button flip. And then hopefully using those I can get more out of it. Because right now it is pretty crazy powerful. Sponsors, question mark. Let's see. So sponsors would be great. This was originally going to be a lightweight for robo games, and that's something that is more appealing to sponsors because robo games is huge and they get tons of views and it's great for everybody. But with some smaller events like AVC and Motorama, which is where these would be competing at, it's kind of harder to say, here's this big audience of like 100 people that are gonna watch it. But it definitely doesn't hurt to try. So after I get my design done, I definitely want to oh, that's not supposed to be perpendicular. After I get the design done, I definitely want to approach like I want to talk to Tekin for the wheels, or the motors at least, and the ESCs, because those are probably the most expensive parts of the robot besides the RAM. So that's something I'd like to do. Fractions of a second, how are you going to control that? So with in Arduino, pretty much. So like the code will be something simple, like if channel 5 is turned on, turn on the valve for 5 milliseconds. This is just a random number. I don't know how many milliseconds it'll actually be. So let's just say 5 milliseconds, and that gives you a full powered flip. So then I could say if I hit channel 4 or 6, sorry, instead, only open it for 3 milliseconds or 4 milliseconds, and then that way it does a little smaller burst of the valve, and it'll let less air in and thus less power. But that's going to take a lot of experimenting to get the numbers where I want, which is yet another reason to get as much of this done as possible. I keep making those incorrect. Okay. That few, dang, yeah, it sucks having having that little. If I could just get one flip that, like, you know, sends someone to the ceiling, that's all I really want out of this robot, and just make people go like, oh yeah, flippers exist. That's cool. That's all I want. All right, so why is this stuck? Or blue, I should say. Why is it blue and not black? That's because a lot of these aren't tacked down, even though I thought I did that. Is the quality still bad, 480p or whatever? Actually, in my little preview, it only goes to 480p. Yeah. Andrew says, keep in mind you're probably running at more than half of the power of what we ran at BV. Power is in air pressure, power is in ram force, power is in what? Does Lucky run at some insane like 1200 PSI or something like that? Random point attached to nothing. Man. Let's see. Ram force. Okay. Well, okay. Yeah, I would expect your heavyweight to have more power than than my feather. Or are you saying that in a good way? I can't tell what your mannerisms are trying to say from text. But I've been basing this on if you look at Polaris in Australia and then Rocket here in the States. Those are the two robots that I've been you know, taking inspiration from the most. Polaris runs either the same or a slightly bigger bore than my ram at less PSI, and that thing like ejects things into the ceiling. So I'm, you know, it's definitely a good robot to imitate. What material and thickness are those sides going to be cut from? So these sides, they're all 3/8 of an inch at 6061 aluminum, going to be water jet cut, and then they're jigsawed together and bolted to the frame. Or they are the frame, but bolted to the base plate. let's see, you can really dial back the power to gain flips while still throwing the opponent very hard. Yeah, and that's what I'm wanting to do is if I had 3 buttons, there'd be low power, high power, and then unlimited power, which is not restricting the airflow at all, just full blast. So if I could get the high power to just be something, you know, that tosses them up a couple feet in the air, I'd be happy with that. But I would like to hit some ceilings. This thing is still not locking in. What we ran and what it can do are very different. And that's, you know, I'm in the same boat there too. Oh, there we go. Finally, we have we have some black lines. We go through and perpendicularize more of these. I bet half that power will be plenty if you can get it, at least for testing. Throw an encoder on the arm, graph volume timing the arm position, useful for dialing in valve timing. Okay. Encoder on the arm. I'm not sure how I'd do that though. I guess just put a little tiny bolt on it and then put that on. Measure how fast it changes. Kind of want to just go to, I think a tennis court would make a good testing box for a featherweight. Go in there and flip some stuff and then keep tweaking the data and just see how high stuff goes in the air. Encoder is a nice scientific way to do it though. Why is this not moving? Or why is it moving? That's my real question. Keeps lagging. Real quick, I want to see actually how much weight this is even going to save me. Let's stop the sketch. High-speed camera will probably work also. Oh, that's a good idea. You'd probably damage the cord, just use a parking lot. Yeah, that's fine. No need to keep the valve open once you're on the bungees. Yeah, that too. Just that's all. That all goes down to the timing of the Arduino and how long it keeps the valve open. So we're going to select all these holes. I have the current weight in my spreadsheet, and then we'll compare what this estimates to what the spreadsheet says and see if that's saving me a lot. Can I just click on all these fast? If I have time, I want to go to a gym with my lifter and start pumping some iron. Hilarious. Oh, this got all messed up. Ugh, good enough. Let that do its thing. a lot. So while you guys are here, I also want to start putting out more YouTube videos. If you guys have suggestions of what you'd like to see, I definitely want to hear that. So like, I don't know, I was thinking maybe how to do a basic ant weight pneumatic video using, you know, airplane retract parts and stuff like that. I'll keep doing the event reports. I have the AVC event report coming out soon. Then there's newer stuff, you know, like could, you know, do some wacky, I'll make a robot that has to be a walker for fun, or some kind of challenge in that way. Videos like that are an option. I could do Fusion 360 tutorials, stuff like that. If there's anything you guys want to see, I'd love to hear what you guys are interested in. So let's go to properties. 24 ounces. Put that in here. That's 1.5 pounds, but in the back it is one. Okay, so that saves me about a quarter pound, and that's definitely, you know, needed. All the other stuff I'll be adding. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that broken for now and move on to something else. Fix it later. You guys get the gist of it. If you have time, oh, you already read that one. I already read that one. Okay. I might tweak the patterns here, because like so this is all 1/4 inch AR 400. I'm worried about these areas because that's where it's the weakest. I could add a beam up and down here maybe to fix that and space it out a little bit, because like the ones on the back, they have that beam here that goes vertically between the two X's. Here they're just X's. I don't know if they look like they'll still hold. I'd rather keep it because that means less weight. That's definitely what I need right now. For your pneumatic ant weight, are you still going to try 2 valves, or is the timing still an issue? Oh, what am I going to do with that? Because I've been so focused on the feather. I think what I want to try is just 1 valve and see how it performs compared to 2 valves, and then if it's like the same, I'll just, you know, just use 1 valve. But I think there might be a way to bypass, like, because they have little RC switches built into them. If I could disconnect one and just have them use the same one, maybe that would fix the problem. That's something I want to try. So there's a few things I want to experiment with in between, you know, working on the feather. What I'd like to do though is make my own ram and my own valve. Once I get the hang of this, if I could make a full pressure CO2 ant weight, that would be awesome. That's definitely what I'd want Highlander to be. Is like, you know, the super tiny 900, 800 psi CO2 flipper that runs off paintball cartridges or something like that. It's been done in Beetles, but I don't think it's been done in anything smaller, so that'd be fun to try. Let's see. That would also save me a ton of weight, because the reason Highlander is so heavy is because the pneumatics aren't that heavy. It's just they're big. So making the chassis that forms around the giant tanks is what makes Highlander heavy and hard to work with. Same with Morag right now. It's tall and big because of the tanks. All right. What do we want to do next? Could add some of the electronics in. You have the speed controllers in. I've been neglecting the battery. That's probably just going to go on the side over here. Receiver is tiny. It can go anywhere pretty much. I don't have to worry about that now. Kind of an off-topic question, but are you planning on competing at Rocky Mountain Stream Fest 2019? Nothing is off-topic in this. It's specifically a Q&A and CAD hybrid, so you can ask questions on whatever you want. But with that, I'm probably not going to go. I don't know when it is. If it's before Moto, then definitely no. And then during March, I'll be busy preparing ARC, my event. But if it's later than that, maybe. Would be cool to go. Another thing I need to look at are the bungees and the straps. So here it is extended. The way Highlander works is I have a rubber band that goes from this part of the arm to this part of the rail. I don't think that's going to work in this case because the bungee cords are going to be bigger and they don't rotate around like rubber bands do. I could move the speed controllers and have something go from this little thing down to here. That's an option. What kind of straps I need for that? I know, like, I don't know if like a tie-down strap would work. Because these are designed to handle a lot of stress for towing and holding down stuff in your car / truck. They gave like a weight limit. Just grab something random, see if this says anything. Oh, I'd like these. They're Highlander green, Team Small Robots green. Oh, okay, so these have a 3,333 working load limit and then 10,000 pound load braking strength. So if I had 2 of these, that would work just fine. And I guess somehow wrap them around that little arm and then through the base plate of the chassis. You mentioned Tekin a bit ago. Are you using Tekin in runners for drive? Yeah. I'm using Rock 412s HD. I can show you those. So those just bolt onto the main box gearboxes and then go under that little gap in the rail. The wire ports would be on top of here. A little close to the valve, but there's still space. Actually, is that touching? Ooh. Yeah, that's a problem. These are touching. I didn't notice that before. Everything's really tight here because if I bring that forward, this hits the wedge. Actually, there is a tiny bit of space here. Like an eighth or a 16th of an inch forward. That might be enough to clear it. Maybe even grinding this down would be okay as long as I don't get too close to the port itself. But yep, 1/10. They might actually be smaller, slightly smaller than 1/10. I don't remember exactly, but they're for crawler and buggy RC cars, so they're designed to have a lot of strength. They're also sensored, so I'm excited to be using sensored brushless drive. So I want every bit of drive precision I can because I'm going to be spending the entire fight trying to run away from spinners, and I want to be able to outmaneuver. And for that, I would like a very fast and precise drive system. So that's why I went with sensored in runners instead of outrunners, like most other robots. let's see. I wonder if I could just use one of these, because it's not going to be fighting the ram. The ram's designed to be able to fire and hit the top of its lid without breaking. And it does say 10,000 pounds for braking. I don't know if the shock of something flipping up that fast would break it. I guess I could test it, but that's a dangerous test. But like one of these and a bungee cord is kind of all I want to do, because it's going to get heavy. It's going to get real heavy. Nope. Let's see. Oh, I have these little holes here because there's going to be a roller for the chain. So I'm pretty sure if we hide this wall, yeah, that's really close to the base plate. I'm sure a chain would hit the base plate here, so that's why I have that. So they kind of go up and then back down to the other one. Hmm. See, how are we doing on time? So I'll probably only do this another 10 minutes or so. So made like, yeah, we got some stuff done. We got a pattern estimate. We added a lid. We got to see how Fusion breaks when you add lines. All sorts of other fun things. You guys have any more questions? Anything at all? I'm going to cut a chunk out of this base plate and see what happens. Make sure the base plate is active so that I don't have to hunt for the sketch again. Plans of prototyping with CNC laser cut wood. I've noticed bolts built in with panels usually tested like this. No, I didn't really have plans for that. I'm kind of pressed on time. It's not even designed yet, and it's coming up in like 2.5 months or something like that. I might just just order it, hope for the best, and if something's broken, reorder and just take the financial hit, because time is definitely a problem. So let's add a square in the middle. Just to get like a volume check. So we cut that giant chunk out. What kind of weight savings are we looking at? I wouldn't actually cut a piece out that big, and I'd do the normal X pattern. Copy that, take it over here. So 2.22 pounds, currently it's 2.39 pounds, so that only takes 1/10 of a pound, which kind of sucks. So I might, if I'm lucky, get like 1/2 pound if I do that everywhere. So that's something I'll have to do. Delete all of that. Martin Mason does that, but it's more critical with big bots. Small bots, less risky to just send it. It's much easier with small bots to check screw clearances, etc. Yeah. But I mean, with screw clearances, it's... But what do you mean exactly by that? Because I have all the screws in here, and I see if they break into something, or do you just mean the tapping and drilling that I'm going to have to do? That's how this whole thing's being made. So like to attach this back panel, I need to put holes here, and the holes would be the size of the drill tap for whatever bolt I use, and then using this as a guide, I would drill in and then tap that and then drill out the back plate to be the size of the screw without the thread, and then it would thread into the rail on the side here, if that makes sense. I can illustrate that better if it's if that's unclear. If you guys also see anything jumping out for weight savings, I'd love to hear that too. All right. So that's the top plates are 2mm titanium. I don't know if there's anything, because I don't even think that's ideal for like fighting Megatron, but I think it's good enough. Maybe to take a hit or two. Oh, I have a package that I need to open from Robot Marketplace. This is now an unboxing video. Actually, Andrew, this is probably your tags. You're not going to water jet the clearance holes. You mean the holes that would go here for the screw? Yeah, those will be there. I just haven't added them yet. Nope. We got a little burrito. Does that answer your question, Kevin? There we go. Cool. So I got some of these danger, fighting a robot, remove before combat kind of deals. You can see that. Servo tester and some BECs. Shout out to Robot Marketplace. Alright, I'm just going to hang out for 5 more minutes. If you guys have any questions, I can answer those about anything at all. It can be me, my robots, life, death, school, work, hobbies, personal life, anything really. Just hang out and say thanks for 100 subscribers. I think he's water jetting the tap drill size to use as a guide, then just drilling out the clearance side. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. You're welcome. Not sure I understand, Chad. Or you mean for subscribing? Thanks, Chad. Tell us your thoughts on wrap chips. Ooh, I'm glad you brought this up. Let me see here. no. I might have lost it, but I have the bag somewhere. Wrap chips are a chip that I discovered in Pennsylvania. I can find a picture online. So this flavor is sour cream with a dab of ranch, because these are the guys who invented dabbing or whatever. Very meme-worthy snack. Clean your room, young man. Yeah, it definitely needs it. I kind of just hid the mess behind my chair, but then I got out of my chair, so that revealed the mess. So yeah, wrap snacks, they're pretty good. I do like the dab of ranch flavor. Next time I'm in Moto or Pennsylvania for Motorama, I'll try to get another bag of wrap snacks. Maybe find an even more ridiculous snack. All right, it's getting to be about that time, so I'll answer a few more questions and then take off. Thank you all so much for joining me and hanging out. Hopefully we'll get to do it again soon. I'd also like to hear how you think of, or what your thoughts are combining Q&A videos with CAD videos. It was kind of weird, you know, working on something and then a question pops up and then answering it and going off track. So I might split them up and just only do Q&A videos and only do CAD videos, not combining them. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any more questions. I'll hang out here for another minute or so and then I'll be taking off. Will you build a lightweight for the BV Robo games? Probably not going to have enough time. I'd be willing to be a multi-bot, like if someone else has a featherweight and they want to combine forces to be a lightweight, I would do that. What hotel are you staying at? You have cars sorted out for Moto. No and no. Usually I just wait till the last second and then make a post saying, can I mooch off of somebody? And then somebody says yes. Last time it was the entire Colorado combat group that I mooched with. I wouldn't mind doing that again. They're a bunch of great guys. But that is something I do need to figure out soon. Tyler, you're back. How you doing, Tyler? A second 30-pound flipper. Yeah, that could work. Just make another, either another Morag, or you could make a tiny rocket. That'd be fun. Multi-bot lightweight flippers. Yeah, definitely awesome. Flipping awesome. If I can find time, then I'd love to. Yeah, that's always the thing. It's time. Sorry if I came off rude by calling you a geek, bro. No, it's you're fine, man. That's totally fine. It's a compliment, if anything. It means I'm doing what I do right. The delay from when I speak to when you guys hear it kind of makes this awkward. All right, seem to have reached a pause in the questions, so I'm going to go ahead and take off. I'll, of course, follow my Facebook. You can look up Team Small Robots on Facebook. I have a page there, and then, of course, you're watching Team Small Robots on YouTube, so be sure to subscribe here as well. I'll be posting more videos than I have been, trying to get more content out. Definitely more updates on Morag and my other robots. So, all right, great. Thank you again for stopping by. See you next time.